I heard a dream once, and it went like this. So, this man, before he went to bed, he would stay up late and watch YouTube videos and try to conjure up his faith and figure out all these things about end times and get deep into conspiracies and all this. And he admitted before he went to bed that he would lie in bed anxious and great amount of fear. And this is what his dream was about. So he dreamed that he woke up in a room that was just nothing but completely blue. It was like sky blue. He couldn't see anything, any other objects or anything. It was just nothing but blue for as far as the eye could see, all the way around him. Just light sky blue. And he looked at himself, his body, and he was transparent, and he could see all the way through himself. And in his chest, he had these seeds in there. He had no idea what that meant. And a little while later, he found that he was standing in a line, and there was hundreds of thousands of people behind him and hundreds of thousands of people in front of him. And way off in the distance, there was this huge, great shadow. It was like vapor, and it was a character that had a voice. And this person, he actually heard him speak whenever he said something. And next thing he heard was, "Depart from me." And there was this portal that opened up to his right side, and all these people standing in line all of a sudden felt this intense heat on their right shoulder and their whole entire right side, as if it was burning. And it was so hot coming from that portal, from that open portal, that it felt freezing cold on this other side, as if somebody needs to close a door right now. I am freezing. But this side was burning completely. And he was able to move his head and see the inside of this portal, and it was hot stones, really, really, really hot stones in there, so intensely hot. And so he'd keep hearing this, "Depart from me," and this portal would open, really big, and it was just this big rumbling sound, and this hot stones would just burn him every time. So he'd keep moving up further in line, and he could actually start hearing. It was this vapor character, this shadow was God, and he understood this is the time of judgment. So he'd hear God speak this judgment upon people. You know, I know you no more. Depart from me. And then that person would just disperse very quickly into this portal and burn, and you can hear their agony screams. And then that portal would close again, and the next person would come up in line. Depart from me. And it was just intense for him. And this dream felt intensely real, extremely real. He could feel the heat. He can see through his body, but he could still smell and taste, and all his senses were in focus. But he started hearing these things that these people were being judged upon, and he started thinking in his own mind, "Well, man, I'm no better than these guys. I have problems with these same exact sins." Next thing you know, depart from me again. Somebody else is going to hell. And so you just picture that, envision this. And this guy had this deep dream, and it just continuously, "Depart from me, depart from me." And this guy said he was in such fear that he can't actually explain it. That by the time it came his turn, God was speaking to him and telling him about, "Why didn't you forgive a certain woman?" And he said, "I did, Lord. I forgave her." And he said, "You said you forgave her, but why do you still have those seeds inside your chest that you can see now?" And he realized that those seeds were his burdens, that they were a part of who he is that became him, and it overcame everything, all his actions and all this. And that unforgiveness, though he said he forgave her, maybe even felt in his heart that he did, he never departed from that. He didn't completely repent from it or turn from it. So he still was hanging on to those things. And in his dream, God looked at him as a failure. You did not completely forgive, so therefore, why should I forgive you? And this guy already knew. He said, I'm for sure I'm going to hell. You know, I'm no better than all the rest of these people. So he said that he turned his face from God, and he didn't even want to hear it anymore because he knew it's too late. There's nothing that he can do. He said the next thing he knew, as he's turned away from God, and he had tears running down his cheeks, he said he felt this great wind. It was so great that it blew the tears completely off of his cheeks. And God leaned into him and said, "You barely made it." And then opened up the gates of heaven, and he described what it felt like when he went up into heaven. And it was this glorious deal. Now, let me tell you what I think about that. Okay? I don't deny that this guy had this dream, okay? But I don't think that what does this turn God into? This turns God into somebody who is sitting on a throne in complete judgment of you, and there's no love part of that whatsoever. This guy would even ask for forgiveness of somebody, or forgave somebody, but didn't completely do it, and so he barely made it into heaven, right? So what that causes this person's mind, and he's probably doing it right this second, is I have to fight for this always. I have to fight to become better than barely. I have to be accepted. I have to be accepted into his kingdom. I have to force God to love me. And what we're doing is we're completely eliminating who Jesus is. Completely. So this dream came apart from these YouTube videos and things that this guy would watch, and all of a sudden this dream became reality to him in his mind, that this is what is actually going to happen to us whenever we die. After we die, we're going to be standing in line, and one at a time, people are going to be going to hell, and every once in a while somebody might be able to be just good enough to make it to heaven. You barely made it. I mean, is it possible for God to be that way? I don't see where the love is at. And I definitely see the elimination of Jesus and what he has done for us in that dream. Because Jesus came in there and completely cleansed everybody. And we are the mirror image of Christ because he has entered into us, our very being. He poured out his Spirit upon all flesh. He's the one that holds all things together. So it's not just people, it's animals, it's every blade of grass, it's every grain of sand. It's all united completely together. And so what we're eliminating in this dream and in these mindsets, and you guys might have had these dreams or these thoughts before in your mind, and it becomes a reality in us. And those seeds that he saw, that actually grows a seed within you, and it becomes your life. And you start attacking and fighting your own self, trying to say, I know this is true. I know that this is what it is. But Jesus speaks to you and says, no, it's not. And you're fighting against that. And that's where the chains and the bondage and all that stuff comes upon you, because you think that you have to deliver yourself, whereas you've already been delivered. That's why I always say this. Christ redeemed all people. Not everybody knows this. Therefore, not everybody experiences it, but it doesn't make it any less true for everybody. So, how I would finish that dream is, now this is going to be a dream within a dream, but as this person was still sleeping, he hears, "Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up," and wakes up and sees Jesus sitting right there in the bed with him, and Jesus says to him, and laughs, like wants to embrace him and treat him like, hey, that's not who I am. Do you not realize that I completely got rid of this? Cleanse your mind. Repent from this thinking. This is not who I am. I love you. You're not going to have to worry about whether you're redeemed or not. You are completely redeemed. If you feel in your heart that you haven't fully forgiven somebody, I ask that you do those things for the betterment of you and for the betterment of that person, because I love you, not because you're going to be condemned if you don't. You're already going to feel miserable if you don't. I'm trying to wake you up from that feeling and trying to get you to that point where you want to fully forgive, and I will help you do that. But you have to understand first that you're not doing it in order to enter into my kingdom. You're not doing it in order to enter in a relationship with me. You're already there. You're doing it for your own sake. When our kids touch a hot pot, we might smack their hand. Why? When we tell our kids we spank you or we discipline you because I love you. I do these things because I love you. It's hard for the kid to understand that, but why do we do it? It's because we love them. We want to teach them. We want to make sure that they are not going to hurt themselves. Why don't we want our kids to hurt themselves? Because we love them. And that's the same exact discipline that Jesus wants us to have. To understand that I love you. That's the discipline. That's the mind frame that we need to have. I love you. And these consequences that we have in life are things that Jesus is trying to keep us from. He's not putting the consequence on us. He's trying to keep us from them, because our choices do come with consequences sometimes. And Jesus already sees what those consequences will be. So he does speak to us and try to say, hey, if you're going to smoke these cigarettes, you could get lung cancer, and we're going to keep you from those consequences. So let's, understand, experience this relationship, and understand I am drawing you away from that and giving you cravings of me instead of giving you cravings of this cigarette. And it's not simple. It's not at all, because our flesh desires those things, and Satan tricks us, and especially the believer's mind, and into these things. Just like this person's dream. He's a believer, and he probably no doubt had this dream whatsoever, and he wanted to tell the world about it. But all this does is install fear and a different mindset of who we are and what we're supposed to do with our lives, and therefore who God is and what he commands us to do. And I just wanted to bring that to you this morning. I know it's a little bit early, and it's about 15 minutes long here. So I just wanted to bring that to you this morning and tell you what I was thinking. And I love you guys, and have a awesome day. Take care.